Buongiorno, everyone, and welcome to the Premier League predictions for the 2021 season. May chuck in a couple of cups here and there. I mean, I've wrote them down. Don't know if you have.
Oh, I have got mine ready,
Got
prepared.
them ready. We did this last year. I've not had a chance to review it, so I'm not really sure how it turned out, but probably not very well, as these never do.
Yeah, I actually looked back on it. I think I wrote it down. I can't remember where, but I think the only one I got right was Newcastle. I put Newcastle to finish 13th, which they did, and I think you got Norwich. You got bottom place, so it was 1-1. It was 1-1.
1-1 last year. I'll have a look back at 1-1 last year. We're going to delay this because obviously we're going to do it the other week, and then Messi was linked with Man City, so that would have changed everything. And then, even though now Bale's linked with Spurs, that could change things. But if we wait any longer, there'll be about 10 games played because the window doesn't close until another 3-4 weeks. The games are coming thick and fast, so we need to get this out of the way. We'll get it out of the way now. Right, because the Newcastle games are every fucking 2 days as well. So lots to do. Busy times ahead. So, Kay, I'll let you start off with your top four.
So top four, starting at number one, go with the champions. And I'm not overly convinced, but I fancy Man City. I think because Pep's a bit of a bad loser. I think because they were so far off the pace last year, he'll do everything that they can to win this season. He'll be adamant. Pep's that kind of guy. I'm not overly convinced in the signings. Ake and the guy from Valencia, Ferran Torres. I think they could have done better. If they were going to get Man City, I'd have put them. If they were going to get Messi, I would put them straight at the top and nail bother. But yeah, I'm not overly convinced in their squad. They've lost Sane, even though he didn't really play much last year. I just fancy Pep. That's the main thing. That's why I'm putting them number one, because he'll want to right last season's wrongs big time.
For me, I've went the opposite. I've went Liverpool for first, just because I think they'll. I don't know, because will they still have that same hunger? I think that whole 30-year, the disappointment of the year before really drove them on. But I see Liverpool concentrate on the league again, and City concentrate on the Champions League again. That's what they're really wanting it as a club. So that's where I think both teams are focused on that things. Liverpool won plenty of Champions Leagues, not really asked. Focus on the Premier League, retaining that. City chasing the elusive Champions League that they haven't got yet. So that's where I say it, but I don't think it'll be like last year though, where it was miles, loads of points different. I think it'll be proper tight.
Yeah, I've got Liverpool in second because.
Got City in second.
Yeah, so we've got them opposite way rounds. I'm putting Liverpool as second. Like you say, will they maintain that level? What they've done the last 2 seasons is immense. They've got north of 96 points 2 years in a row. That's mental, that. But yeah, I haven't been impressed by them since they won the league, really. Even towards the end of last season, they slipped up a couple of times. Pre-season, the Cup, what was it, the Community Shield, the first game against Leeds. They didn't really impress us defensively as well. Van Dijk's looked a little bit sloppy, and he's been their saviour. I think they need a couple more signings. I think they need a little bit of freshness in that team to keep it exciting. If they got Thiago, that would be a big signing, or someone else. I think it's just the same. They haven't really added to that team in 2-3 years, really. They need major signings since they got Van Dijk and Alisson, I don't think. Yeah, it's just a bit same. I'd like to see a little bit freshness in there. Like I say, since the end of the season, they haven't looked that good, so I'm a little bit concerned for them. And I think after that 30-year wait, they'll probably still be on a bit of a high. They'll want to defend the title, of course, but I just don't think they'll have it in them this year to reach the top spot again.
Right.
In third place, I've got Chelsea.
Same here. Whereas Liverpool, they have splashed the cash and they have spent massively.
Big time, yeah. I was going to put them a little bit higher. I thought they might have challenged for the title, to be fair. I actually think the top 4 might be quite close. But with Chelsea, they've gotten some unbelievable signings. Incredible. But it's kind of like the Premier League proven thing. None of them, apart from Ben Chilwell's played in the Premier League before. Thiago Silva's 36. Werner, great signing, but hasn't played in the Premier League. Same with Havertz, and he's still a young kid, Havertz. So it might be a bit of a risk. It might not work out the way they planned. I know they're lining up Mendy to come in as a goalkeeper because Kepa's a little bit dodgy. So I think, I wouldn't put them as title contenders because Kepa's a bit shit. And no one that they've got is Premier League proven, and Thiago Silva's kicking on a little bit, so it might not go as well as the planned. I think they're pushing for a title chase, but I think they'll still be a little bit short. But exciting to watch.
I think it'll be the year after where Chelsea could really kick on, because it's quite a transitional period. This, like, the amount of signings they've made, young players from foreign countries. Frank Lampard, the manager's still improving. Do you know what I mean? So
he's only had 2 years experience. You know what I mean?
Big year for Chelsea. Big year for Chelsea. But I think they'll do well enough to make top 4. Although that the 4th spot for me is where I've struggled massively, to be honest, because the competition for that is huge. I mean, it's very, like I said, with Gareth Bale potentially with Spurs, Man United might still get Sancho. So before the window closes, there could still be some huge moves. But I've got Arsenal to finish 4th. Arteta's Arsenal. Aubameyang signed his new contract yesterday. I think they'll prioritise top 4 in Champions League, because they normally win the FA Cup. I think again they've got other focuses now. They'll want to get top 4 and then a year or 2 time start trying to challenge for the league. So I've got Arsenal just to squeeze it in there.
Squeeze it. I think it'll be close, but for me, I've got Man United. I don't think they'll be done with the window. They're going to try and get Sancho, but they're a bit fucking stingy. What's he called? Ed Woodward. He's worse than Charney, that cunt. He's absolutely useless. Like, they had Reguilon on a string, but they're like, oh, we're not going to pay a buyback clause. We're going to put a buyback clause in the contract. Like, are you mad? They're refusing to pay the money for Sancho. He's an absolute bellend, that guy. But if they were to get the likes of Sancho, who I actually still think they'll sign, they were going to try and get Bale as a replacement, but it looks like Bale and Reguilon are both now going to Tottenham. But I still think Man United will do well. They've started improving since they got Bruno Fernandes in. Mason Greenwood's unreal as well. Donny van der Beek's an unreal signing. I think they might still need a centre-back in. I know they were trying to chase Upamecano. So I think there's still a little bit of a hole in Man United, but I do think they'll have a good year, especially if they get Sancho in. That'll be the determining factor. If they get Sancho, along with Van der Beek and the others, I think they should have enough to break top 4.
All right. Bottom 3. My bottom 3, I'll list them off. I'll blast them off. And again, this one was tough, because I think the league will be a lot tighter and closer all round than it was last year. Yeah. Massively. Obviously, the break with Corona, that didn't help. The league was already settled by then. But bottom 3, starting rock bottom, Fulham. Because Parker had a bit inexperienced. He's done well to bring them back up. Want to see him given a chance. Young English manager, but it's just Fulham again. They're just the proper yo-yo club, aren't they? And the dodgy investments. They kind of get it going. They looked awful against Arsenal. I put Fulham as bottom, rock bottom. I've got West Brom in 19th. And I've got Brighton in 18th. And that 18th place, I couldn't choose between them and West Ham. I even think Sheffield United are going to have second season syndrome. But I mean, you could even pick a couple of others. But for me, Fulham, West Brom and Brighton, they get relegated.
Yeah, I've got Fulham in 20th, West Brom 19th, and West Ham in 18th.
Ooh, nice. Thing is, West Ham, I'd put them there, and then I scratched them out because it'll come to it where West Ham seem to pluck money out of nowhere when they need to. I think they'll sack Moyes. They'll get someone in who will get enough points on the board. They can even sign someone in January who'll do a job. Like Tridini or something like that, or an expensive flop again. But they'll make the money, they'll make the moves that have to be done to probably scrape up by the teeth again.
I've got West Ham in 18th, just because, like what you say, like they just look a bit shit. They haven't really signed anyone. Like, we played them first game of the season and beat them quite comfortably. I don't rate Moyes. I think he'll be one of the first ones out the door. Possibly him and Scott Parker will probably be the first in contention to get out. I think they're in a bit of a slump at the minute. It's like their fans aren't happy with their owners. Moyes is not the guy. I just don't think they've got enough in it. Like, they've got great players, and they've always had great players. I've always been a fan of West Ham's team, but they've always been in and around that bracket. Like, they always seem like they should get like top 8, but they always end up in like the bottom 6. Like, I don't know what their issue is, but I think this season it's going to be a bad year for them. I think they'll really, really struggle. So that's why I've got them just in 18th. I think it will be close. I think there's another 2 or 3 that'll be in that relegation scrap, but I'm just tipping West Ham for the drop.
Well, since we are a Newcastle fan channel, where's Newcastle finishing this season before we go into the rest of the table?
I think the entire bottom 10 was tough for me to look at. I think everyone's kind of in a similar position, but I've actually got Newcastle at the top of the bottom half. I've got them in 11th.
Beats me as well. Yeah. Newcastle in 11th, baby. You know what it is? I was so close to putting them 10th because my 10th is
same,
debatable, and in and around the area, I think there's honestly there's like 3 or 4 teams that could finish around 10th.
Yeah, like it's mad because if we did this video like 2 weeks ago, I probably would have had them in the bottom 3. But with the signings that we've made and the potential business that we could still make, I'm just looking around everyone else and thinking, are we as bad as Burnley, Palace, Leeds, Sheffield, Brighton, Villa? I don't think so. So no, I've got them ahead of all of them. So 11th, I think.
The battle of the bottom half, I think we're one of the best, especially going forward. You know, with the addition of Fraser and Wilson, combined that with Almiron and St. Maximin, Shelby and Hayden in the middle, Fernandez and Nebraska at the back. For me, we actually are a decent side.
We are a decent
side now on paper. That start 11. The problem is the start 11. If we get injuries, we're fucked, which we've seen in the cup last year. Knee straight on the bench and knee strength and depth. So it all depends on fitnesses. But I have got us in a cushy 11th.
Yeah, a couple more additions, a bit more quality in the backup, like another striker on loan. Anyone on loan, really. Striker, centre back, left back, right back. If we get any one of them positions strengthened by the end of the window, then I think we can definitely finish at the top of the bottom half.
Lovely. We'll go back up to 5th then. So I had with top 4. Mine was Liverpool in 1st, City in 2nd, Chelsea in 3rd, Arsenal in 4th. I've then got Man United in 5th and Spurs in 6th, which was really hard, really hard, because Man United and Spurs' team, again, like we say, they could make some big signings before the window closes, but even now, we'll do it as now, the 16th of September, Man United in 5th, Spurs in 6th, and it's going to be literally a couple of points in it for me.
Yeah. For me, I've got Arsenal in 5th. I think they'll miss out on the top 4. I'm just not overly convinced by them. I think Arteta's done an amazing job. I just still think that they're 1 or 2 players away from being a really good team. Up top, that class. They've brought in some great defenders, but again, it's kind of like the Premier League proven thing. And youngsters. Gabriel's still very young. Saliba's very young. Although they're playing decent at the minute, the likes of David Silva and Mustafi, they're not great, are they? They're in decent form at the minute, but sooner or later, now they're going to slip up. David Luiz has been in the Premier League for 10 plus years, and he's hot and cold every single game. You don't know which David Luiz is going to turn up on the day. So I still think they're a quality centre-back away, or experience away from being a top side. I'd like to see them maybe get another playmaker. Fuck Ozil off, because he doesn't want to be there. Replace him with a Coutinho type, and maybe a Thomas Partey as well. So 1 or 2 more decent signings, and Arsenal going to be top 4. But for now, I think they're just going to miss out. And in 6th, I'm not convinced by this. I'm putting my neck out a little bit here, but I've got Everton. They've made some great signings, but Everton's kind of like a West Ham for me. Like, they always make great signings, but they never really turn out how they should be. They always end up signing flops. But after the first game, the game against Tottenham the other day, I thought they'd done very well. James Rodriguez had a class game. Allen was man of the match. I think Doucouré is a very good signing. I think they've got a decent team. They've got decent defence. They've got Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin up top. I think they're a very good team, and I think it might be a stretch getting 6th, but if they hit the ground running as they should, as expected, with the quality of James Rodriguez, they can do it.
I've got Everton in 7th, to be fair, which again was a tricky one because above other teams that did really well last year, like Leicester and Wolves. But I've got Everton in 7th because I think the signings they made are absolutely class. You've got Doucouré, who's proven Premier League, Allen, who's been mint for years, and what a signing that is for them. And James Rodriguez is a tricky one, like what James Rodriguez will see, the one from the World Cup, or the one that struggled to get game time in Germany in the Liga.
Yeah.
But you see his debut the other day. He looked mint, didn't he? He looked comfortable on the ball, cutting inside. I've got Everton in 7th. I think they'll have a really good season. But the reason I just put Spurs above them is just Jose, to be fair. Just Jose and Harry Kane. I think that's the only reason.
Yeah, that was my only thinking. I think Jose always does well in his second season. And even though last season wasn't a full season, it was only a half season, I think. Yeah, I'm not sure about Tottenham, but I'll get onto them when I get down to them because I've got them a little bit lower. But if they are going to get higher, I think it will be Jose's mantra that will get them there. But in 7th, I've got Wolves. Wolves are impressive for me, and I always think they'll slip up eventually. But when you watch them, they're a really good team. Like Jimenez up top's class. We've got a great bunch of youngsters like Neto, like all the Portuguese lads, Connor Cody at the back, Adama Traore. I think Doherty will be a big miss. I think selling him was a bit of a bad move, but I still think they'll push on for another Europa League spot. I think they have got enough. I think I rate their manager as well. Espirito Santos, really good manager. Yeah, I think that might be another little push, but again, like they can do it if they put their mind to it. If they just hit the ground running, save injuries, maybe one or two more signs by the end of the window, I think they could have another good year. So, 7th.
I've got Leicester in 8th.
Same.
In 7th. Where did Leicester finish last year? Because they were like 2nd and 3rd for a lot of the season, weren't they? But they didn't even get Champions League in the end. 5th.
5th.
They'll be wounded to miss out on Champions League after being in the top 4 for the majority of the season.
Like pretty much all season. It was after lockdown. Like if the league ended there, they would have been in the top 3 neighbour. They probably would have finished 3rd. But after lockdown, they came out and just were absolutely shit. And they slipped down to 4th and then into 5th on I think it was like the last day, wasn't it? It's like a deadline day thing for the Europa League Champions League. So I finished in 5th. But yeah, I've got them in 8th as well. Again, another good team, good manager, a bunch of fantastic individuals in the squad. But I don't think they'll replicate what they did last season. So I've got them down in 8th.
No, I mean, I think they'll be a bit wounded by that still. And I think they'll miss Ben Chilwell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, big loss.
Vardy's only getting older. I know he scored a brace in the weekend, but it was only penalties won it. I just think with all the competitions we're in as well, Thursday nights in the Europa League.
Yeah, Europa League syndrome.
It'll affect Leicester a little bit. I've got your Wolves in 9th. Your 7th place Wolves in 9th for me because I think Doherty is a big miss. He's chipped in with a lot of goals. Yes, they've got Raul Jimenez, but again, they'll be playing a lot of games, and I think the other teams around them, I look at Everton, Leicester, squad Spurs, Man United, they're all better than theirs. They should finish above them, so I've got Wolves in 9th.
Mm-hmm. No, this is the controversial one for me. This is where I've got Tottenham.
Ooh.
I just don't rate Tottenham. Like last year, even under Poch, we went down there and beat them. Like Poch deserved the sack because they were shite. Jose came in and did a decent job. Like I think we've all been watching the All or Nothing documentary and had got like a bit of a love affair for Tottenham at the minute. But yeah, I don't know. I think if they finish higher, it will be because of Mourinho's determination and his experience. But like the Everton game the other day, they were absolutely gash. They had nothing. They had nothing about them. The end of last season, after lockdown, I think we were probably the only good game they had. Like after lockdown, they were losing to everyone. They were absolutely shit. And they've started this season the exact same. Things could change, though, as things stand. Bale and Reguilon may come in. I think deals have pretty much been agreed for both of them. I wrote this up 2 days ago, actually. So, yeah, if Bale and Reguilon come in,
would be class. Like,
yeah.
That would be great.
If Bale and Reguilon come in, as well as Mourinho's experience, if they can keep Kane fit, because Kane gets a big injury every season. He's a world-class striker, but way too injury-prone. Bale as well. If Bale comes in, they need to keep him fit. But yeah, 2 days ago, I put Tottenham in 9th, and I'll stick with it. Things could change, obviously, by the end of the window, but I like that first game of the season and the end of last season, they were absolutely shit. So I've got Tottenham slipping down to 9th for me.
Well, this is the one where I think I've got in 10th, just because of previous seasons, to be honest with you. Sean Dyche knows how to do it. Burnley in 10th. I was tempted to even chuck Newcastle, maybe even Leeds.
I was thinking about putting Newcastle 10th, but
I mean, a couple further down there, probably not. But Burnley for me just seem to know how to pick up results, don't they? They'll pick up them, lift them 1-0s. They've still got that great determination. They seem to get year in, year out. I think the luck will run out eventually, but I don't think it'll be this year. I don't know about that one. That's probably the one I'd maybe change depending on the window. And like if I was more optimistic for Newcastle and we made a couple more signings, no reason why we couldn't finish above Burnley. Like,
yeah, 10th was a tough one for me. Like say, like anyone below 10th and lower, literally could be anyone. I think a few signings by the end of the window should determine that one. But for me, I've got Southampton. If Danny Ings can keep in form, what's he called? Hasenhudl. He's done a decent job there. Danny Ings is absolutely firing, so if he can continue his goal scoring last year, I like Walker Peters. I think them two could link up well. Walker Peters can whip a few crosses in for Danny Ings. I think they've still got a little bit to do, though, so I'm not convinced by this one. Because they got beaten. They got beat off Crystal Palace in the opening game. So, yeah, I'm not too convinced by that one. But again, it's one of them where they could do it if they put their mind to it. They've got the tools there to do it. It's only up to them to push top 10 if they want to. But I literally could be Newcastle, Burnley, Palace, anyone really.
Well, you mentioned Palace there about beating Southampton on the opening day. I've got Palace quite low down. We'll get to that later. But Palace made some good signs this summer, I think. Batshuayi on loan. Hodgson again, as much as I hate him, he seems to get something out of them. He seems to get results.
They could have alive by the end of the season.
They could have some good results now, to be fair. But I'll stick with Burnley in 10th, Newcastle in 11th, and then the new boys, the new entertainers, Bielsa's Leeds in 12th.
Good shout. Yeah, I've got Burnley. You had them in 10th. I've got them as low as 12th. They were one that I was going to put in 10th. But have they made any signings? I just find Burnley a very boring team. Like Sean Dyche, as you said, like he knows how to get things done, but I just find them boring. They're just like a proper stickler, like a 4-4-2, boring. Like the lads up top, like they're good strikers to be fair, like Chris Wood and who's the other one, Ashley Barnes. Like they're not pretty players, or they haven't got really any top quality. I think the only ones I fancy are Dwight McNeil and James Tarkowski.
Tarkowski's linked to move away now, and so
if they lose him, I just don't think they've got anything about them. Like I was going to put them a little bit lower, but as you said, Dyche does a good job, so that's why I've got them as high as 12th. I wouldn't have put them as high as 10th, but yeah, I think 12th's around about a good enough position for them.
And they lost Jeffrey just this year, so no more Hendrick, no more Party.
Big loss.
Big loss. But Leeds, I think, will scare the shit out of a lot of teams. We've seen it already.
Yeah, definitely.
That lack of fear going to Anfield and playing like that. Mm-hmm. I think they'll die out though. Like they always seem to do that. Bielsa side. I was watching his documentary the other day on Sky. He's known for that. He struggles in a long league and a long season because of the demands he puts on the players. So I think they'll have a great start and then they'll fade after Christmas. But they'll be safe and they'll float around mid-table. But I've got them in 12th just because we're excited on the weekend. So we'll carry that on. 13th, I've got Aston Villa, which might surprise people.
That is a bit of a surprise.
Villa flying high with Grealish signing his new contract.
So yeah, I was probably going to do the same thing. Like I think some of the signings they've made, Ollie Watkins and Emi Martinez, Matty Cash, and keeping Grealish. I was going to put them in around about that position as well. I've got them a little bit lower, but they could do it. I'm just not convinced on Dean Smith.
Meaning, I think we get sacked, but I think, I don't know if we get sacked, but I wouldn't be surprised because I think a better level manager will get a lot more out of those players like Grealish. And I had a good bond with him that day on. I've seen on Sky Sports News. But I can't believe the same Martinez. I think he's a class.
Yeah, it really is. Good signing.
But at least he will definitely get guaranteed first team football. And it'll be interesting to see how Watkins gets on. Big risk, big money move for a championship player, but he's young. Bags of talent, so see how he gets on. But I don't know. I think Villa I fancy Villa have a good year. To be honest, they've still got the likes of Tyrone Mings in there. They've got some really good players. To be honest,
John McGinn, he stayed, didn't he?
John McGinn's still there, right?
Still got Samata, Wesley. They've got some decent players.
Trezeguet, Douglas Costa, Douglas
Luiz.
So they've got some ballers in Villa's team. To be honest, I think they'll have a good year. 13th.
Yeah, they have. You'll have them a little bit lower than me, but I've got Crystal Palace in 13th. Like you mentioned before, decent signings in Batshuayi and Eze, fantastic forward players. Still got the likes of Townsend there and Zaha. Yeah, I think they've got a decent team, but they've got the dinosaur as their manager. He'll probably be croaked by the end of the season. Decent team. I can't really say too much about Crystal Palace. I think 13th will be a decent position for them. Might end up a little bit lower, but I think Eze is a really, really good signing. I watched a little bit of the game against Southampton the other day. He came off the bench, but he looked really, really exciting. So I had Batshuayi signed since then as well. So I've got Palace 13th.
14th, I've got Southampton. Just because of Danny Ings, really. Honestly,
pretty much.
They would have went down last year if it wasn't for Danny Ings. You'd be looking to emulate last season with the Euros coming up. You're obviously in the England squad the other week, wasn't he, against Iceland? So just the likes of Danny Ings is pretty much it, to be honest with you. And I think he'll make the difference. He'll score the goals. And maybe have swapped them in Palace or something, but nah, I'll stick 14th Southampton.
Yeah. 14th, I did want to put them a little bit higher, but I think they might actually finish a little bit lower. I've got Leeds. You spoke about Bielsa, good manager, the new entertainers. Like, they are exciting as hell. Like, the way they played against Liverpool, they went for them and scored 3 goals. First Premier League game in 16 years. Couldn't have had a harder one. Away to the champions. I couldn't have had a tougher game, but they went for them. My thing with Leeds is, watching that Liverpool game, they reminded us of the 2010 Blackpool. If you remember Blackpool in the Premier League, they went for everyone. They did not give a shit. Was it Ian Holloway was the manager? Like, he just went for fucking everything. They weren't afraid of anyone. Liverpool, City, United, Arsenal. They didn't give a shit. They went for everyone. And the games were similar to the Liverpool game. There was like 4-3s, 5-4s, 3-2s. Like, they knew how to score goals, and they were exciting. They were the most exciting team to watch in the league that season by far, because they just went for it. They didn't give a shit. But
where did they finish?
Well, that's what I'm getting to. Like, they started really, really well. They were scoring a lot of goals, getting some surprise wins, but it eventually dropped off, as you said. Could happen. Like, Bielsa tires out towards the end of the season, which is why in the documentary they didn't get promoted. But that happened to Blackpool. I think for the majority of the season, they were around about 10th, around mid-table. I think at one point they were even pushing for a Europa League spot, but they actually ended up getting relegated. I think.
Really? They did get relegated,
It was a deadline day. I remember it was a deadline day. I think it was Man United they played, because Michael Owen scored. I think I remember watching that game. I was fucking rooting for them. I think they went 1-0 up. Charlie Adams scored a free kick. I was like, fucking get in! Fucking come on, Blackpool. Well, I think they got beat like 4-5-1 or something and went down. But that's what could happen if you go for it that much. Like, their defence, it's fucking shit. Like, I know they played Liverpool. Liverpool are a class team, but that cock, he's shit him. That's going to be the thing, that they're going to score goals. They're going to score a shitload of goals, but they can concede just as many. I think they can leak goals, and that's going to be their downfall. That's why I could have them in a relegation scrap, to be honest. I might have them as low as 17th, but I think because Bielsa's a good manager and they'll score a lot of goals is why I've got them as high as 14th. But I think they need a couple of good signings. They got a new keeper in there that looks about 12. That Cock was absolutely useless. I think that captain was injured, though. That Liam, was it Gibson or something? That captain, anyway, he was injured, so he's to come back. But I just think they need a stronger centre-back. Like, at full-back, they were all right. Luke Ayling had a good game. But it's that defence I'm worried about. I would like them to push for about 10th. But that defence, they could end up in a relegation scrap. So I think 14 might even be generous.
15th, I've got Palace. Again, if I come to think of it now, I'd probably swap them with Southampton, to be fair. I listed the good signings they've made earlier. But I think everyone will just get bored of listening to Roy Hodgson throughout the season, so they'll just peter off as well. Yeah. Palace in 15th.
For me, I've got the second season syndrome decliners, Sheffield United.
Decline.
Yeah. In fact, I actually think they could finish even lower than that, which I know might surprise people because of where they finished last season. But I've called that bluff. I think they were just riding a wave last season, and it eventually slipped off because they were another Europa League contender. I think they were around about 5th or 6th for the majority of the season. And then slipped up. I think they finished 9th, didn't they? From should have been finishing 5th or 6th, finishing 9th. It's not good. I think they're just getting found out. Like, that happens. That's why they call it second season syndrome. It even happened to Leicester when they won the Premier League. Then at the bottom of the table for a short spell. That's when Ranieri got sacked. But I think Sheffield were just riding a wave at the start of last season, and they started to get found out by the end of the season. I think next season they'll really, really struggle. I think they'll be battling relegation next season. So 15th for me.
Well, have you noticed I haven't said them yet ever?
Yeah, exactly. I think like this bracket, I think maybe 13th down, they'll probably be in a relegation battle for the majority of the season. I think it'll probably be the same as last season. I think those in around 13th, 14th, 15th will probably start to break away within the last few weeks and have their safety confirmed. But I think they'll all be struggling for a majority of the season.
And a lot of people might think, well, Man City after the good season they had, they might put them up there like in the top 10, top 12. But nah, not for me. Let's say I've got them in 16th. I think it's the same. I think it is the second season syndrome. I think they get found out now. They know how to play. I don't think the players will be able to get themselves that up for it again because in the Premier League first season back, wanting to do the best. I just can't see them doing that well this year. I mean, we beat them twice last year. So
exactly. We did the double over them, man.
Not many teams we do the double over.
I know. Were they the only team last season?
No, we did the double over.
Because we didn't beat Bournemouth at home, did we? We did. We did beat Bournemouth at home.
Bournemouth at home. I think we did the double over. Southampton as well.
Yes, we did. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I think we did all right last year. Really, 4 or 5 teams.
Yeah, 16th. I've got Brighton. They're just fucking boring, aren't they? They've got a couple of decent players. If Lallana can stay fit, he could be a big signing for them. That right back that they've got, what's he called? Tariq. Begins with a P. Can't remember his name, but he's a decent little player. 20 years old from Chelsea. He played a blinder against Chelsea in the first game of the season on Monday. But they've just not really got much about them. Glenn Murray's gone. I think they've got a couple of decent big defenders. They've still got Dunk, Webster, and Ben White, who Leeds were trying to spend 20 plus million on. So they've got some decent defenders, good right back. They've got Lallana, but yeah, no, I think they'll struggle. Like I said, they've got decent defense, but they'll concede goals, and I don't think they'll score too many. Maupay's all right, but Glenn Murray's gone away on loan, so yeah, I'm not convinced on Brighton. I think they'll struggle.
Where did you have them? Did you say 16th?
16th.
Well, I see Brighton for me bottom 3 because they've just, I think I've seen on Sky before, they spent like 1.3 million. Do you know what I mean? Like you say, Murray's gone. That's Brighton have been flirting with relegation for a while now. I think this will be time's up.
Time's up, fuckers.
Time's up, Seagulls. So finally in 17th, I've got West Ham, who definitely could fall at the bottom 3. But like I say, I think they'll splash the cash when it matters, and they'll just bring back Big Sam again. You know,
probably. I want to see Eddie Howe. I said at the start of the season, like even before last season ended, before he even left Bournemouth, I think Eddie Howe will be a great appointment for West Ham. I'd love to see him there.
Should give Eddie Howe 50 million, 60 million, something like that. Get him a couple of his own players for the door, see what he can do with it. Because I agree, and he'd definitely play better football than Moisey now.
Definitely.
So, that's a shout. But I think they'll bring in someone who will just about keep them afloat next year. But it'll definitely be very tight.
Yeah. Like I say, I did my lineup, me prediction about 2 days ago. So I'm kind of regretting my 17th. I've got Aston Villa. I do think they'll struggle. I'm predicting them to stay up, and I think they'll be down and around about there. But keeping Grealish, massive signing. Finally got a decent keeper in because that Nyland last season was gash. Matty Cash is a good signing. Kept hold of Mings, McGinn. Still got that 2 strikers. Like I mentioned them before, and Watkins. So yeah, they made some decent signings. So maybe I'm regretting putting them 17th, but I'll stick by what I did a couple of days ago, and I'll still have them in and around that bracket. I think they'll survive. Maybe not as low as 17th, but I wouldn't really put them too much higher.
Maybe even a Eddie Howe at Villa would be a shout as well.
Yeah,
I think Dean Smith. I think that Villa in 13th for me with the players they've got, but it'll probably be the manager that lets them down.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that.
Well, there we are then. We'll save this bit of paper, put it away, so I don't have to watch this video again in a year's time and see how we got on.
I'll save it in my notes.
Notes, lovely stuff. Nice one. Thanks, everyone. Make sure you pop in your comments below who you think is going to get relegated. Bottom 3, top 4, anywhere in between. If you fancy Newcastle fans, where are we going to finish? All right. Cheers for watching. Subscribe to my channel TV and enjoy.
Enjoy yourself.